so I know you guys are used to me saying this, but I'm super excited. And joining me today is Chef Marvin. Say hello.
How you doing? What's going on?
All right. So we got a great episode for you guys, and I'm just getting ready to tell you guys, it's going down. I want you to know how important this is because, first of all, I turned over my kitchen. So if y'all know me, you got to be amazing to take over my kitchen. You want my stove?
Yeah, man.
You got stuff laid out. Listen.
I'm gonna get it in over here.
You know how chefs are. We don't share unless you know. It's like, listen, you got to be the real deal, Holyfield.
Okay.
Come in.
You can't just be messing around in somebody's kitchen.
Right, not at all. So this is a great honor. Thank you so much for
problem.
coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Getting down. I love it.
Thank you
all
for
right.
having me.
So we're gonna talk about the book first.
Okay.
And then we're gonna get into this food. I know you already got stuff started.
Yeah, we got it working. We got it working. We're gonna get back to it. We're gonna get back to it.
All right, so let's talk about this book. We are doing today The Spook Who Sat by the Door, Sam Greenlee. An amazing read, okay? So we're gonna talk about this book because I'm excited about this book. Okay, so tell me, because I saw this book when you were posted on Facebook, and I was like, oh my gosh, somebody else is reading this book. And I'm like, yes, perfect. So tell me how you came across this book, why you started reading, and then we'll get into the specifics of the book.
Okay, well, basically, I like African American literature and like that type of genre books. And so I was just happened to be watching Snowfall, and I seen that the Black Panther father, he was actually reading this book before, he got, killed. And I was like, you know what? His caliber type of person, I want to see what this book is about that he's reading.
Yes.
Because I think it's going to be right up my alley. So I got the book, and even when I posted the book, people were telling me, oh man, that's a good book. Oh, you're going to like that book. Even my barber had read the book, and I was like, man, okay, man, I was way out the loop. So I read the book. Oh man, I love the book. I love so much about the book. I love the character Dan Freeman. He was awesome from beginning to end. Yes. I love the way that he was depicted in the book because straight off the bat, he was very intelligent. He knew how to control his emotions. He was very active. He knew martial arts. It wasn't like he was just some hoodlum. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he infiltrated the CIA.
And that's so amazing.
And I love the satire in the beginning of the book where, he had to take all these little sly comments and remarks that these white people was making about him, and hold that in and maintain his cover. That was a big thing for him, to maintain his cover. Yes. And then he got it was almost like he was like deep cover, like he always had a cover for something, until, he got back to Chicago. So, you know what I mean?
Even then he was still in
he was still in a cover, but you got to see him outside of his cover when he was in the neighborhood, when they called him Turk, you know what I'm saying? Like
got
his nickname.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when you got to see what he was really trying to do, I was like, okay. And I was like, you know what? I hear him, he going to be, I'm like, but is he really going to do this? And listen, he really did that. Like, after you get to the end of the book, he really made them people pay. And he set it up all over the country. And I was like, that I love everything about it because he took the young black boys that was in the hood, in the gangs, and he educated them. He had them doing different things, doing like wind projectories and the
math behind it, and the right tactics,
knowing how to do the propaganda and all that things like that. So I was like, that's positive. It was so many positive things in the book that you can grab from just from this story that was being told.
Yeah.
Which I definitely dug that, because you know it doesn't always have to be a drug dealer or a junkie in the street or a killer, or you know, we actually have black people that are very intelligent and will, you know, sometimes we have to put a cover on.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But we are still down for the cause, and we know what the systematic barriers are that's in place and how we have to overcome, or even how we feel like we should deal with them. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of stuff that black people went through, you know, is very traumatic.
Yes.
And a lot of white people and other people don't recognize it. And they think it's nothing, or we should just get over it. When all this trauma is like generation after generation after generation.
Yes.
You know, so a lot of different black people deal with it a lot of different ways. But one thing that we are, and we're never not intelligent, we're always intelligent.
Always intelligent.
We definitely know what we're doing, and we know how we feel. And some people just have different ways of how they want to deal with certain things. But I dug the book.
I love the book.
I know I just said a whole bunch.
That's how much you love the book, right?
You know what I'm saying? It's easy to talk about.
Yes,
you know, it's easy to talk about. And it was such a good read.
Yes.
It was such a good read.
Let me tell you. So a couple of things that you mentioned that were my favorite parts as well. Okay. So I feel like this was like double consciousness to like the 15th power, just with the character itself, Dan Freeman, because he was like one way and then another way. He had to be very conscious of it, of moving in these certain circles, especially when he was with the CIA. Because it's like, I know I have to put on. Like, I know you're treating me a certain way. I'm going to have to put on, and I'm purposely letting you see one side of me. Only one side, and never getting out of character. Then, there's another part I love, what you was talking about, none of us are dumb. When he went back to Chicago and he used the gangs, and he makes a point to say, listen, you just need to use their skills and make it relatable, and use that and bring it out of them. So you have, you know, this athlete, but you don't see how he can relate this to something that actually he cares about. Right. So he's been, you know, put out of school probably because he's not interested or whatever. The society could consider him dumb. But if you give him the right skills, like setting him up to understand, you know, this is how this works and connects and how you make this. Okay, you want to be a shooter. Do you even know all of the things, velocity and your light and your shadows and all? How does it, geography, put that in there. You know, you have to understand your geography, your geometry, these angles, all of that stuff, and really bringing it out and making it relate. Those were my two favorite parts. That one, that double side of a character, and then also that other side of just, you got to give people, everybody is smart in their own way. You just have to give them something. You have to bring it out. And
he had to have such self-control to make sure that he maintained his covers. You know, because because he would jump from cover to cover. You know, one cover with this, one cover with that, and then finding the time to be himself, which was very minimal, because even, you know, with that, he had to make sure that
he knew they were looking at him.
Yes. Just like how other agents was trying to find him, and they were asking, like they would ask the prostitute, you know, and she was like, well, that don't sound like him, and he never did this, and we only did that. You know, he maintained
and
very good self-control.
On the guy that came looking for him.
Yeah.
She flipped it.
Because he didn't have no self-control.
At all.
You know,
like,
so.
I bet you got a little freaking you. I'm about to turn this out to my point.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And when they was looking for him and she showed up at his apartment in Chicago, I was like, please don't let Yes. I was like, please don't let them get him like this.
So what do you think about his decision to actually leave and go back to Chicago? Do you think he should have stayed, or you think no, he had an overall goal?
He had an overall goal, and that's why he left. Some people would say, oh, why would you leave? Because if that's the case, then he would just be living the life of his cover. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's not what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? He wanted it because he came from Chicago, what he was doing, working with them, and he just came back with like he stole, like he took the information
and brought it back.
Mm-hmm. Like, all right, now this, like, teach us, this is what we gonna use
Mm-hmm.
to get ahead and to not be under the thumb no more.
Right.
You know.
And I think his time in the CIA, I think it was also one of those things where he never would have gotten his proper respect. Like, it felt like they was just dragging him along, and that's literally the title of the story, Spook Who Sat by the door. Like, you had your best asset, and you weren't really utilizing it at all. And I don't think he would have ever got there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question. How'd you like the ending?
I liked everything about the book. So, like, I liked the ending. I felt like it was realistic.
Yeah.
I felt like it was realistic, even though, I mean, because he had to, you know, he had no choice but to kill his friend. Mm-hmm. But and the way it ended, it was like, okay, so he was shot. You kind of knew that he was dying. You know
he
what I'm
planned
saying?
For succession. He had a plan.
Yes, he made sure that once he was gone, mm-hmm. things would still go on, and things would go on in different cities mm-hmm. and everything like that. So mm-hmm. his plan, he knew what was going to happen.
Right.
He knew he wasn't going to last.
Mm-hmm. I did not like that it had to be his friend. I didn't like
it. But that was realistic too, because so it's like everybody was not on the same accord. Mm-hmm. In hindsight, it looks like, you know, that was the thing to do, but mm-hmm. everybody didn't do it.
Yeah.
So with him and his best friend, his best friend was like, even though he was black, he was on the force. Mm-hmm. You know, so he was like on the other end. He was on the other side. Mm-hmm. You know, so he felt like, you know, that was his friend, but at the same time, like, he didn't think that he was doing the right thing. So
I always ask this question to everybody. You kind of addressed it already, mm-hmm. but we'll see if you have a different, you know, thing. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, how do you feel this book relates to the culture? How important is it? Is this a must-read for the culture? Because you said a lot of people recommend you got this off of Snowfall. By the way, shout out to all the Snowfall writers. I'm gonna put them in like right there, like all of them. Like we know this, we know the y'all read the books. Yeah. But what do you feel like for the culture?
I definitely.
How critical is this book?
I definitely believe it's a 10.
Okay.
I believe it's a 10 because, and some of the things I already touched on, like the covers that we have to use, like the mask that we have to put on with the society and the history in this country, and even to this day, you know, things, you know, still some things are still the same, and the fact that, you know, to show, like, you know, I hate when they show like shows and movies and stuff where you only see black people as like either junkies or drug dealers or killers and things like that, and never nothing positive. Where in this book, you know, you get to see a black man that is already smart, you know,
already intelligent, and knows he's smart too. Nobody gotta tell him he's intelligent.
And he's not sitting around trying to brag about it or nothing. Another thing is that the book actually shows the middle class black people and how we don't always get along. You know, they look at him a certain way, he look at them a certain way. You know, but then you always see that you got middle class black people that feel like they made it when they achieve things that white people have, or you know, they act like how white people might have.
White performance.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So the book gives you a lot of different angles of things. You know that he's intelligent, and you also see him teaching other young black men that's in the street.
Yes.
You know, so I definitely give this a 10 for the culture.
10.
Definitely give this a 10 for the culture.
Okay, so I'm going to agree. I am absolutely going to agree. Everything that you said, it's a 10 for me as well. I think it's a critical read. I think it's an absolute must.
Yes.
Because it's so layered and it's so many different angles that you pick up on. It's just like, man, it's so nice to see a protagonist, an African American male protagonist, that's like, no holds barred. I'm intelligent. I'm moving through this world, and this is how I navigate. And knows that he's intelligent. That's the key part right there. Because sometimes we get a lot of these African American males, a lot of it is what society has put on them.
Right.
And he's like rejecting all of this. I don't care what you say. This is me. I know I'm smart and I know I can do a lot better than some of y'all who have these, negative ideas about me.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I love everything about this book. I was so happy I read it. I finished it in a day. I was done.
I haven't done that.
I'm a slow reader. Actually, I'm a very slow reader, surprisingly. But I finished this one in a day. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, what's gonna happen next?
But see, I would take the book to work, and any slow time that I got, I would just pop open. Most people, they on their phones when they got free time. I just pop my book open and start reading. Into a little bit of what I'm doing. So I picked this dish because of the book. So the dish that I'm making is it's a mahi. It's a Mediterranean mahi with Greek style potatoes. The reason I picked this is because mahi they actually call that dolphin fish. So you might think that you're getting dolphin, but you're not getting dolphin. Actually, you're getting mahi. They just call it dolphin fish. So the fish actually has a cover. You think it's one thing, but it's something completely different. So that's why I picked it. Also, I picked it is because mahi has beautiful colors. And it has beautiful colors, and it loses its colors after it detaches from the nervous system. When they catch the fish and they kill the fish, the colors go away. But before then, they have beautiful colors, like us. So
I learn something new every day. Today I just learned out.
look up the mahi fish. They have beautiful colors. So we have our fillets. We have our Mediterranean mix, which has tomatoes, roasted red peppers, red onions, Kalamata olives, garlic, a little oregano, has a little bit of parsley, and we're going to be putting some dill in here. Our potatoes are in the oven, so we're going to start searing our fish and get our vegetables in the pan so we can finish that off, and we're going to have a good complete dish. So, come walk with me. All right, so we got our hot pan going. And we have we have our oil in the pan, vegetable oil, it's fine. You want to go ahead and you want to put your butter in the pan, make sure so this butter is going to give a nice sear. It's going to give a nice sear to our fish. So we're going to take our seasoned fish. Now, fish is seasoned with a Greek seasoning, and it has salt, pepper, oregano, dried basil, and a little bit of thyme. And you want to just put that in the pan. You want to hear that sizzle. That's how you know you're getting that sear on there. You also want to make sure that your fish is pat dry. You want to pat dry your fish, and that's going to help you with the sear. You make sure that your fish is pat dry with like a towel or a paper towel. And right now, so we're just getting a good sear on our fish. We got a nice sear, and this is what you want. A nice golden brown sear on your fish.
So pretty.
And that's what you want. Really nice coloring. And now what we're going to do, we're going to take our vegetables, our bright, vibrant vegetables. Now our onions, tomatoes, our olives, our garlic. And we got all of this in the pan, and we're going to let this go. We're going to let this go for a couple minutes, and then we're going to finish this in the oven. Now that we have all this stuff in the pan, all these flavors is getting in the fish, is absorbing in the fish. And it's going to continue to do so once we put it in the oven. Alright, so now we have the finished product. You know, we have our potatoes. So with the Greek style potatoes, you know, we kind of put them in the oven with a broth. So the potatoes soak up the broth to make them soft inside, and then we continue to bake them to get a crust exterior. So it's like crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside, along with the herbs. That's what makes it the Greek style potatoes. Our Mediterranean mahi is done. Our vegetables have softened up very nicely, and it's almost like a hot relish that's going to go with it. And now we're going to plate our food. We also have some feta cheese that we're going to top our dish off, and some more herbs. You know, some dill, some parsley, some fresh parsley. And plating is what we're about to do now. So we're going to get some of our potatoes and just put it on our plate. And what you want to do is you want to layer some of this stuff. So you have the potatoes on there. You want to, let's get some of the vegetables. And just throw them right on top. Throw them right on top of the potatoes. Like I said, it's almost like a hot relish. But all those flavors are in the fish. And then you want to take some of your fish. Add that on top. If you want to add some of these vegetables on the side, add some of them on top of your fish. So you want to layer it. Now that we have our fish on our plate with our potatoes, you want to take some of your feta cheese. Now, the best thing you can do for your dish is to use real cheese. You do not want that crumbled stuff that's already crumbled, because it's not good. The chemicals and stuff they put in the cheese to keep it crumbled, that's not what you want. So you want your cheese to be in block form, and just crumble it yourself. We got a little bit of dill. So take some of the dill. You want to take some of chopped parsley, just to sprinkle it, give it a little bit more color. And then you want to take some of your fresh parsley right off of the stem. Always want to make your dish look very beautiful. Go ahead and throw that in there. And there you have your Mediterranean mahi with Greek style potatoes. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Peace.